Hi, good afternoon and happy holidays. Welcome to the County Executives Weekly Media Briefing. Thank you for joining us earlier this week. The county government's closed on Wednesday, so we moved up the media briefing to Monday. So thank you for joining us. Today on our media briefing, we have Director Ben Stevenson from our Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation joining Mark. So without further ado, Mark, let me turn it over to you for some opening comments, and we'll
Okay,
bring Ben in.
thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I wanted to discuss an issue that doesn't always receive the attention it deserves, and that's reducing recidivism in the work of our Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, what we commonly refer to as DOCR. It might sound strange to say, but our correctional facilities are among the best institutions in the Montgomery County government, and one of the best institutions probably in the country. I've seen firsthand the difference between facilities that treat people humanely and those that don't. Some years ago, I visited a friend in another jail, not in this county, and I saw what can only be described as a snake pit. The conditions were deplorable, and it was clear that nobody left the facility better than when they came in. Made me wonder, why do we tolerate facilities like that and then act surprised when people leave incarceration angry, frustrated, and unprepared to succeed? Fortunately, in Montgomery County, we've taken a different approach. If all we do is release people who are angry and without skills, we're almost guaranteed that we're going to see them again. Jail is sometimes necessary, but for young people and others, we need to create facilities that give them a chance to get their lives back on track without carrying a lifelong stigma. Criminal record can actually make it nearly impossible to get a job or secure housing, and pushing people back onto a path that we don't want them to be on is not what we should be doing. Since Art Wallenstein was our director, he initiated changes that focused on giving inmates skills and opportunities to reenter society with improved possibilities for success. That's why I'm proud that Montgomery County continues to explore new approaches, including building a diversion facility where individuals can get the support and structure they need without carrying the burden of a criminal record for the rest of their lives. I'm not a big believer in punishment for punishment's sake. It tends not to work. I do believe in correction, and that means giving people the tools they need to succeed. This is hard work, but it's essential. And if we can show people they have other options in life, we have a chance to break the cycle of incarceration. One example I'm especially proud of is the Sweet Release Bakery program. This initiative trains those who are incarcerated in baking and food preparation, providing them with tangible skills that they can use to actually build a career. It's a program we had to shut down during the Great Recession, but I made it a priority to bring it back. Today it's thriving, and it's a testament to what's possible when we invest in rehabilitation. Another standout program is our pre-release center, which has been serving our community since 1972. This 144-bed facility helps individuals transition back into the community by providing employment, treatment, and family support before they're released. Programs like this save taxpayers money, reduce institutional crowding, and most importantly, they do reduce recidivism. Since its inception, the Pre-Release Center has helped more than 20,000 men and women build better futures. This past Saturday, I joined DOCR Director Ben Stevenson and correction staff and a prison ministry partner to make sure the families of those who are incarcerated receive gifts for the holidays. While many of us are celebrating this season with our loved ones, it's important to remember that those who are incarcerated and their families often feel that absence deeply. I mean, before I turn it over to Dr. Stevenson, I want to acknowledge the incredible work of our DOCR staff. These individuals have some of the toughest jobs in county government. They don't always nearly get the recognition for what they do. Under Dr. Stevenson's leadership, our facility received full accreditation earlier this year, a reflection of the high standards, and I'm grateful for their commitment to treating people with dignity and for their dedication to creating opportunities for rehabilitation and growth. Reducing recidivism is necessary for creating a safer, more equitable community, and it requires all of us, government, businesses, and community partners, to provide second chances. If we can do that, we can transform lives and strengthen our county. Ben and I were just talking over the weekend about how we're working with the state on a federal grant that will help us get correct data on recidivism, which we need to give insight into how the hows of the program and how effectively it's working and what other programs are needed. With that, I'd like to introduce Ben Stevenson to share more about the incredible work happening in our Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So Ben, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Again, my name's Ben Stevenson. I'm the director of the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. We call it DOCR. I've been in the department about 29 years. I started right in uniform out of college, and it was the first job that could pay my student loans. And as I did, I had no idea of the opportunities that would exist to move in various different categories of working in jails. I've done custody, security, case management, reentry management. When you're working in a jail, there's so many different occupations that are represented, and we're almost like a small city to make sure that we provide the safest environment for everyone to be able to focus on, hopefully not returning back to our system. Since 1972, our Department of Correction and Rehabilitation has been in existence. And in 1972, they put the rehabilitation part to our department. And so with that, it's not an accident. Out of 3,100 jails, over 3,100 jails in the United States, our facility follows the top 1% of those that are accredited by the American Correctional Association. And so with that, we follow the top standards of the profession that speak to our adherence of the national model of what standards and compliance of doing professional corrections would be. And so we're very proud of that. In addition, we also subscribe to the Maryland Commission on Correctional Standards that comes in and inspects our operations, make sure it's safe and secure and also rehabilitative. We also focus on the Department of Justice's Prison Rape Elimination Act, which is another accreditation to make sure we have a safe and secure environment that's free of sexual assault, as well as sexual harassment within our workplace. And so to give you a little background of our systems, we're a 2-jail system where we have one is an intake jail, and then we have a larger jail in Clarksburg. Our typical count any day is approximately about 1,000 offenders. And so with that 1,000 offenders, we are operating a safe, secure environment with also reentry opportunities, not only within our jail, but also at our pre-release center and our pretrial supervision and diversion programs that are located in another location off Neville Street in Rockville, Maryland. Our department requires several different jobs and professions to carry out our public safety work. Correctional officers at our jails and resident supervisors at our pre-release center, they work 24/7 managing the overall security of our department. And we can't do good rehabilitative work if we didn't have such good security. And so whether it's holidays, whether it's inclement weather, whether it's emergencies, our staff call to that occasion, and we do so with professionalism and with passion. And so I would be remiss not to mention just custody and security, but also the host of support positions, case managers, therapists, correctional health nurses, kitchen dietary officers, administrative support. All these have to be present to do good services. And so I would like to add a little bit to the a couple things that we've done recently. Our bakery program is an outstanding program, and we do it with a chef that we were able to recruit from Montgomery College that works with our incarcerated individuals, not just to provide skills in bakery, but also other culinary art skills. And so we do this certification program in hopes of those leaving our doors, never coming back, and having a livable working wage and to reduce recidivism. And so that's just one of our, one example of our evidence-based programs, of our larger reentry programs that we have in our department. And again, I wanted to shout out this past weekend, we did a gift-giving exchange event that was done and sponsored by Dr. Gray's National Coalition of Prison Ministries. This event was promoting family connectivity. Family reunification is very important, not just at our jail, but also our pre-release center. And so we are very, very proud of these two events that highlight our reentry work. But overall, what I would say about corrections, it's a very challenging and difficult profession at times, but it's also very rewarding. I can tell you, I've had success cases as a case manager many years later where I see people that have never come back through the system. And so we like to see good stories. We like to promote that. And those are things that keep our motivation in doing the work that we do. Again, without the best security-minded correctional officers, resident supervisors, we couldn't do a lot of these great programs. So in closing, our department's good work didn't happen by accident. I've been fortunate enough to inherit a program that has been long in its evolution of pushing the edge, being progressive, trying things that are going to work to reduce the impact and help those that are returning our community in better shape than what they were prior to coming in. And so I'm proud to be serving in a national top model of a correctional program. And I thank the support of the county executive, the county council, and also the families and the citizens that I work with every day that we communicate with regularly with a joint mission of hoping people don't come back and don't need our services ever again.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Mark. We'll pause here for a second to see if any media has any questions for Ben or Mark about recidivism or the operations of our correctional facilities. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I'm happy to call on it. Take a little pause here. Any questions? Judy, Suzanne, anybody?
I have a question. This is
Oh,
Ellie.
hey, Elia. Hey, Elia, Moco 360. Thank you for joining us.
I was just curious about the statistics for recidivism in the county and what the recidivism rate is.
Sure. Thank you. Right now, we are working with the state of Maryland that has a BJA grant to look at getting some more deeper understanding of our programs and how they align to recidivism. We have not done some really deep dive studies and looking at our numbers. I can share with you our most recent recidivism of our pre-release program, which we last did in about 2017, 2018. We had about 11% recidivism rate at 1 year and about a 31% at 3 years. And so as we're designing this study now, we're in the forms of communicating with the state of Maryland. We hope to get some deeper numbers to be able to share with the general public on the good work that we do in our field.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any other hands up. No one is speaking up. So Director Stevenson, thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts and all your employees there. So Mark, I'll turn it back to you.
And thank you. And look forward to seeing you in the new year. And I do appreciate the work that our employees do there. It's really important. Coming into winter as we are, we have another cold weather week ahead of us. And as you know, the week has brought extremely cold weather to our area, and that puts many of our most vulnerable residents at risk again. And during an extreme cold alert, our shelters remain open to ensure everyone has a safe place to go. Shelter capacity is expanded in winter months, and outreach workers are out in the community, urging those without housing to come inside. If you see someone in need of help, please call the homeless information line at 240-907-2688. It's open 24/7, and our outreach teams will follow up to connect people to a shelter and services. Extreme cold can be life-threatening, so let's do all we can to look out for one another. Speak kindly to those who may need help and encourage them to come indoors. Another good news story, United Therapeutics has had another transplant success. I want to take a moment to acknowledge an extraordinary achievement from United Therapeutics based right here in Silver Spring. They announced last week the world's first successful transplant of a U kidney. That's like U, Kidney, it's trademark, into a living person. This groundbreaking achievement follows 2 previous successful xenotransplants, including 2 U-heart transplants and a U-thymo kidney transplant. The recipient is a 53-year-old woman. She received a kidney at NYU Langone health under the FDA's compassionate use pathway. The U-kidney, a gene-edited organ derived from a pig with 10 specific genetic modifications, was developed by United Therapeutics subsidiary Revivicor. This remarks a significant step forward in addressing the critical shortage of human organs available for transplant. United Therapeutics plans to submit an investigational new drug application to the FDA and begin clinical trials in 2025. We're proud to be the home of United Therapeutics, and news like this is only going to help the company to grow and expand. And we're excited about this. This is the last media briefing of the year, and I appreciate all of you who tune in and join us every week or when you can. When we do this weekly briefing, we do it so you know what we're working on and what we're prioritizing, and also to be available for questions. Since this is the end of the year, I wanted to take a moment to preview something special we have planned for this Friday. In lieu of my weekly video message, I'll be sharing our top 10 of the year video. This marks the 4th year we've produced the year-end review video, and it's become a tradition I look forward to. Each time I try to keep it to 10 minutes, which if you know me is pretty much impossible to do. So this year, I've just decided to throw out the clock. This year's top 10 list reflects a truly remarkable 2024, from celebrating our extraordinary residents and their accomplishments to making major projects on critical issues like economic development, climate action, and housing. It's been an incredible year, so stay tuned when it drops on Friday. That's a wrap for today's presser. We won't be back together until January 2nd. So you all have a nice long break where you can focus on enjoying the holidays. I hope all of you have fun things to do in the meantime. Take care, and best wishes to you all for the new year.
Hey, okay. Thank you, Mark. Any other questions that the media has about any other issues that's on your mind? We have any, please raise your hand, or you can feel free to speak up. Oh, Suzanne Pollock, MCM. Thank you, Suzanne, for
Hi,
joining us.
thanks.
Happy
And happy
holidays.
holidays, everyone. I just wanted to, Mr. Elrich, get a feel for how you feel affordable housing went during 2024. It was different bills were introduced, controversy plans. And would you say there was progress made, or there's still too much to do, or how would you
There's a lot to do. I mean, the number of people with incomes below $50,000 who are spending more than half their money on rent is about somewhere around 50,000 folks. That's a lot of people out there in that box. And even people who make more than that struggle to find housing in Montgomery County. So I say that, the good thing is we've been able to do more and more developments, and there are some really big ones. We're working with one developer on a 500-unit project. We have another 500-unit project in process. We're able now to get higher levels of affordability and a wider range of affordability and a higher percentage of affordability as we make most of our deals. So I'm excited about where we've been able to go. I'm just, what I'm disappointed about is Park and Planning putting out their attainable housing strategy and telling people it was about affordable housing. And basically it has nothing to do with affordable housing. And as I've pointed out to you all before, I could show you the front page of their website, where when they ask themselves, is this about affordable housing, they say it's not. There's nothing worse than to deceive people into thinking you're doing something when you're not doing it, or to try to get approval for a policy that has nothing to do with affordable housing by cloaking it in affordable housing. And that's an unfortunate thing Park and Planning chose to do, but it's something we just have to deal with, and we're trying to deal with it. But our focus is to continue to do more. We're looking for more opportunities. I think we see more partners coming into Montgomery County than there were when I started doing this. There used to be only a couple we talked to. Now I see more people entering this space. So I think we're on a good track, but we got a long hill to climb. But we're going to keep climbing it. It's something we really seriously need to do. We want to make sure that people can afford to live here and work here, and would remind folks that the people we provided affordable housing to actually, by and large, all work. So these are the working poor. These are people who do jobs in our community. You know who they are, and they don't make enough money to afford, the more moderate priced housing in Montgomery County. So they often live in the cheapest and most rundown apartments in Montgomery County. That's the reality, but these folks live here and they, should be able to find a decent place to live. They're working, and this is ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a wage problem, even more in some ways than it's a housing problem. If people got paid fairly, we wouldn't be doing as much as we're doing right now, because they'd find housing and be able to pay for it. But it's what's being dealt right now. It's the world we're functioning in. We're doing as much as we can to try to bend the curve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any other questions from the media? Go ahead, Elia.
Hi, Mark. Happy holidays. So I've been speaking to some businesses on Bonifant Street in downtown Silver Spring about the Purple Line construction and how it's been impacting their business. And I was curious about whether the county is looking into providing another round of grants to local businesses that are impacted by the Purple Line project. And
Yep.
if you could talk about some of the work the county may be doing or planning to do.
Well, we've given grants a couple of times now, and we'll probably be looking, we're probably going to need to look ahead to do some more. I mean, the folks who are there are harmed. This is all the state's doing. They tore the thing up too early. It's just, taking more and more of the characteristics of a boondoggle. I think the governor actually referred to it as that. And this is Governor Hogan's puppy, and it's become incredibly expensive and incredibly poorly managed. And it's made it really hard for successive administrations to undo the damage that was done by what happened initially under the previous administration. So this is another one of those things where we just have to deal with it. And I believe we should provide support. I actually think the state should be primarily responsible for providing the support, because it's been, their inability to manage the contractors from the beginning that's kind of put us in this hole. So hopefully we'll get more help out to these businesses. They should not be suffering, and they shouldn't be forced out of business because of something the government did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Judy Hertz.
Hi.
Happy holidays.
Hi, same to you. I'm just wondering what kind of complaints or reports we're getting about drones in Montgomery County, given the sort of hysteria in New Jersey and other states. Are we hearing a lot in Montgomery County?
I would ask Earl that question, but I haven't had a lot of things brought to my attention so far, but maybe Earl has a better sense of that.
Yeah, Montgomery County Police Department put out a statement, I think, last week, and it still holds true that we have not seen the number of thoughts or concerns. Obviously, with the area of flight paths, I think people are more accustomed to seeing what they have seen, and so we have not seen or received. I haven't received any directly, and we've seen very little activity with regard to drone reports in Montgomery County.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we depart? Well, I just want to, someone who works with the media all the time, I just want to thank the media for always coming to these media briefings, as well as our working relationship that we have all the time. It's you definitely make my job easy here, and we appreciate your coverage. Before we leave, I also want to thank Dr. Bridgers and the HHS team for all the work they've done on these media briefings over the past year. Dr. Bridgers, do you or anyone on your team want to add anything this week?
No, Scott, thank you for that. We also echo those sentiments. We appreciate the media and reporting all that we do for this county and keeping the county safe with the services that we provide under the Health and Human Services umbrella. It's an arduous challenge, but we're up to it, as you can see, day in and day out and every week. So we appreciate not only the ability to share that news, but also to support our county executive, Elrich, and all he does for this county.
Thank you, Dr. Bridgers, and also Dr. Stoddard, who always adds a lot to these briefings. Earl, is there anything you would like to add before we depart?
I did want to just say a couple things. Number one, we had an officer involved collision last week, and that officer was released from the hospital that evening. Is sore, didn't sustain any other fortunately lasting injuries other than the soreness. But it does remind us that when we have drivers on our roadways, they please be on the lookout for emergency vehicles. If you're on the roadway and they're coming up behind you, make sure you give them an opportunity to pass. They do need to proceed with lights and sirens at fast rates of speeds to allow for them to do their job and protect the public. And so it's a reminder we put out every year. I also want to say we did make an arrest last week for a work zone collision that occurred back in October involving one of our Department of Transportation employees. The person who was arrested had fled and frankly had actually left the country, and upon their return was arrested. But it reminds us that the state of Maryland through House Bill 513 last year did increase work zone penalties. And the reason why they had done that is because we've seen a lot of work zone related collisions and injuries. And so as people are going through work zones and we're traveling through these holiday season, please do be on the lookout and be more cognizant, follow the speed indicators as well as the lane indicators. And I will just say on the part of the Department of Transportation employee, they've got a long road to recovery. They still have injuries that, they're still not able to walk at this point. And so they've got a long road to recovery. And this is, someone's holiday season has been, the last several months have been deeply impacted. And so these decisions that we make that we don't think a whole lot about when we travel through work zones at unsafe speeds have life-altering consequences, both for the person who was struck and frankly for this driver who's now facing serious felony charges. And so please do, as we travel this holiday season, be on the lookout for work zone safety as well. I will also just say, as Scott did, our local media, frankly, is critical to getting not just the county's message out, but having our public understand the political discourse, the public discourse, what information we're trying to do to keep them safe. So thank you all very much for your service to our residents, and we appreciate your attentiveness every week.
Thank you, Earl. Just want to check, no other last minute questions, and this is our last media briefing of the year. Mark, I'll give you the final word.
Look, I've always enjoyed doing these media briefings. So this all started back during COVID, and we felt that it was important to keep people informed because there was a lot of misinformation out there. People, there in the beginning, people didn't know exactly what we were dealing with and what the ramifications were. We went through some, I'd say, really trying times, making sure that our focus here was minimizing the number of casualties. And I think the county did a pretty good job of doing that. But it was important that we reach out and let the residents know proactively, not wait for something bad to happen and then call a press conference, but to keep up a steady stream of information to help people cope with it. And we realized, when we did that, that actually we had a lot of other things that we could be keeping residents informed about. And so we used this platform to talk about other topics and other things the county's doing that we want people to know. And it also gives the press an opportunity, regular opportunity to talk to us. They don't have to wait for a press conference. We'll provide a format so the press can ask us questions that they want to ask. We don't pre-screen the questions or what you bring to the table. So I think it's been good for communications. I think it's good for county residents. I think it's good for us to be out there answering questions because people have them. They should be answered. And I feel, we've created a pretty good thing here. And I do enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you, everybody, and happy holidays. All the best to you and your families.
And thank you too.
Thank you.